Hello, welcome everyone. You are in the right place at the right time. I'm Shayla Ford. I serve as the Women in Leadership Program Director at Focus St. Louis, and we're glad that you are here. If you want to turn on your camera, we would be glad to see your shining faces. But if you're at lunch or just in an inconvenient spot, or you're like, I don't want to be on camera, I'm not camera ready, it's fine. No judgment here. We are recording this session and have already begun the recording, and that's for anybody who may have missed. We had 160 RSVPs for this event, and we know that everyone can't come, but we want them to get the good information. And I see Chrissy over there. Hey, we've been looking for you. So we're gonna let everyone come into the room and then we'll go ahead and get started. But it's so good to see you. I see Coach Sean, so it's good to see you. We've got some Will women who I've specifically invited. So we have Maheen, we have Ricky, we have Elizabeth, we have Chrissy. And I'm just looking at other names of maybe friends of people that we know. Kim, oh, Kim Wilson. Hey, I see you. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Sometimes there's more than one Kim in the room, but I haven't seen another one yet. So it's good to see your face and good to see you. I see some other names that are familiar, so it's just good. I see Anne, I see Faith, Aaron, Tori. This is good. I'm gonna have to even go to second screen on my screen so that I can call out some other names. Carla, Brittany, Kate, Mary Jo, Kelly, Brandy. Thank you all for giving us some of your time. Tanya, Trisha. All right, this is good. This is good. Well, welcome. I am so glad that you've chosen to show up here today because although this is an info session about women in leadership, this has demonstrated to me anyway that you have a commitment to your own growth and development, and that's what this program is all about. Again, my name is Shayla Ford. I serve as the leadership program director, but it also means that I am the Women in Leadership Director here at Focus St. Louis. My friend and colleague, I want her to say hello because she's someone that you may get to know a lot better. So Kate, you want to say hi before I go into the slide deck and share what I have for everyone this afternoon?
Hello and welcome. My name is Kate Hanford. I'm with Focus St. Louis about 3 years now. I support women in leadership, and also Leadership St. Louis. You couldn't hear it? Women in leadership's my favorite.
Okay. And I did not pay her to say that. Okay, so let's go on.
And as well as Youth Leadership St. Louis with Shayla as well. I'm the email person. I'm kind of the background, the logistics, the getting you from A to B. But if you have questions, recruitment, sites, overall programs, things, you can refer those to me. I'll drop my email in the chat, and then I'll be dropping a few links as well. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And if I get really close to the screen, I'm just managing everything. So,
Sounds good. Awesome.
Good
I'm going
to
to go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see this? Can you see my screen, Kate? Yes. Okay. So you're here at the Women in Leadership info session. We're going to spend a little bit of time giving you a background of the program, and then we will move on to our panel. But before I get there, women who have gone through the program know this, and some have heard, but we start off each Women in Leadership session with this mantra called "It's My Time." So I'm sharing it with you as a sneak peek of one of the things that we share to center ourselves. And what I'd love for you to do is really quickly drop in the chat which number of "It's My Time" is really resonating with you today. Is it time to invest in you, to release what no longer serves you, to embrace new possibilities, to be unapologetically me, to level up and lead, or thrive? Which one is just resonating with you right now? I'm going to check the chat so that I can see. Okay, 3 and 6 2, 3. So what's fun is later I go back through the chat and I'm like, oh, where were people at? 1 and 6. Okay, 2, 3. So a lot. 1 right now, 1 and 4. This is really good. I love to see this. And I like to be able to share this with you. And if you're someone who's like, oh, this sounds good to me, go ahead and screenshot it. It is something that we use, but it is something for all women because I want you to be encouraged and I want you to feel like you have something that you can take time to focus on you. And this is the type of mantra and or affirmation that you can use daily because I look at it daily. It's on my phone. All right. Thank you for giving me the love in the chat and let me know where you are. The reason that we use this is it just is that again, that thing that centers us and helps us to remember how to focus on us and our growth and our learning. What is our agenda for this afternoon? We're going to talk a little bit about the program. I'm going to give you a quick overview. We're going to talk about who is the ideal candidate. And I'm going to say off tops, everybody who showed up today is the ideal candidate, right? It is about you making that investment in yourself and leaning into this opportunity for growth and development within a cohort model with other women. You will hear from recent graduates. We'll introduce them shortly, and I'll prompt them with a couple of questions so that you can hear about their experience for yourself, and then we'll go into Q&A. And we'll prompt you for that too, so that if you want to come off your mic and ask questions, you want to drop it in the chat, Kate will help me to monitor that. But I'm going to ask that our graduates answer questions that are about the experience. But if they're administrative or logistics, then Kate or I are happy to step in and answer. And then we'll just give you final next steps, due dates, deadlines, that kind of thing. And then I'll put up a shot with my contact info if you want to reach out to me directly. So are we ready to go? If we're ready to go, give me a thumbs up or either, use your reaction buttons, but let me know that you are ready to go. Awesome. So Women in Leadership is over 40 years old. We have participants from across different sectors and not only mid-career, now we're coming into early career, mid-career, and some at end of career, right? So we have a range of women who are professional, who want to come together and growth and thinking about what their next move is, whether that's next move in promotion at their organization, next move in career, or next move as they're thinking, I'm winding down my career, but what's next? How do I serve in community? So what we've really become is a gender-specific, intergenerational program for women who are seeking relationship, community, and inspiration for their growth and development. We do spend some time learning a little bit about the St. Louis region, and we do that through our interviews and conversations with professional women throughout the region. It is an immersive training. It's three months, about 12 to 16 weeks long, and we meet 4 Saturdays and 3 Thursdays. So that's kind of the pace and the cadence of the program. Who should apply? You should apply. You, all those individuals, Faith, Kim, everybody, Stephanie, those individuals that I saw and called out your name earlier, you are the ones who should apply for this. It is not about a title that you have. It's not about if you work in this sector or what. It's not about any of those titles or labels. It is about your commitment to yourself and your growth and development. Yes, part of your growth and development goals may include your professional and career aspirations, but this program also takes a look within, and we talk about your personal growth. My philosophy on leadership is that you start leading with yourself, leading from within first, and then you're able to lead others, lead at work, lead at home, lead in community, but it starts with you. So if you're looking for a new experience, a new way of being and learning and really transforming, then this is for you, right? So I need another quick like thumbs up, whether you give it to me like I'm giving it to you, or use your reactions. Let me know. Do you believe you're the woman who should be applying to this just based off of what I said? You're looking for growth. You're looking for a new experience. You're looking for community and sisterhood. Those are the criteria that I think are most important for you. For those of you who are wondering, do I have time in my life for this? You have to make time for the things that are a priority. So here's a quick snapshot of our schedule. This is also on our website, and I know Kate will link you to it. So like I said, there's seminar days on Saturday where the focus is more on yourself and your leadership, right? So some of those Saturday topics include the EQI, which is the emotional intelligence assessment. So you can just understand how you lead and where you can make improvements if there's gaps. We talk about leveling up, where we talk about resumes, we talk about your personal brand on LinkedIn, we talk about negotiation. One of our final days is a leadership Shiro journey, where you talk about your own journey in your own voice, in your own narrative, right? And so that's pieces of it. On our field days, we focus on women in various sectors. We have a public sector day, we have a business and nonprofit day, and then we have a day where we meet leaders who are serving organizations or leading organizations that specifically serve women and girls, right? And then there's sometimes a few other folks that we invite in between to share with you, but that's kind of what to expect, the difference between the seminar days and the field days. And then at the end of the program year, May 2025, I don't think we have a date set yet, but all of the adult programs graduate in a networking / celebratory event where it is Women in Leadership, Leadership St. Louis graduates, Experience St. Louis graduates, and Emerging Leader graduates. So it's a fun time to celebrate and connect with others. You might be asking, well, what are the benefits of this program? And so some of the benefits include just a deeper understanding of the region through the lens and the voice of other women leaders. It is exposure to some of the most influential women leaders in our area. The folks that you see and you're like, I wish I knew her. Those are the women that we bring in for you to meet and to hear from and to actually interview, so that you can learn their best leadership tips and wisdom. You learn skills. Some of them are new, some of them are ones that you're enhancing, but collaboration, communication, facilitation, negotiation, strategic thinking, working in teams, and building up your own confidence so that you can be the best leader, not only at home, but at work and in community. The other piece that is unmatched, Focus St. Louis is awesome for it. We have more than 11,000 alumni in our network, and about 75% of them still reside in the region. So we have the biggest old school Rolodex that you could think of. And so if you're looking for ways to connect not only within your cohort, but with other Focus leaders, we sponsor events throughout the year, specifically for alumni and members, for you to get to meet and greet others and really begin to think about how you want to use your leadership influence to shape the region. And finally, one of the benefits is a greater sense of personal commitment and responsibility to our region. The greatest opportunities for leaders in our region are to solve for the biggest problems and challenges so that our region can thrive. And that can only happen when you are actively involved and engaged and collaborating with other leaders. All right, this is that cue. Kate, get them ready to spotlight. So I have invited, and I'm glad because now I can stop talking and let you hear from these awesome alums. I have invited 4 women who have recently graduated from the program. And you'll see their numbers. And if you're like wondering, well, what does Will 79 versus Will 78? That's the cohort number that we're on. So if you decide to apply and are accepted to this program, you will be in cohort 80 this fall, right? So that just gives you some context. I am actually a graduate. I graduated in cohort 52, so that was just a teeny bit ago. But today I'm so very glad to introduce you to Maheen, to Chrissy, to Ricky, and to Elizabeth so that they can share with you unscripted, unfiltered about their will experience. Okay. So welcome, ladies. It's good to see you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can see your lovely faces instead of that. You're like, wait a minute, what? All right. So here is my first question to you. It is just kind of like, why did you apply to Will? What were you hoping to get out of this experience? And Elizabeth, I'll start with you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Why I actually a year ago I was on this informational session, checking it out, and because I was in a spot where the pandemic was kind of hard for me. I went through a layoff and then I found a new job, a job I've been in for more than 3 years now, but I needed a space to build trust in myself again. And I needed a professional development opportunity that would do that. And as I asked around, everyone suggested focus. And then specifically, there were a lot of suggestions for women in leadership. So I couldn't make the fall dates work. And I know that I saw Kate put the spring dates in the chat. So I waited to apply for the spring cohort. And I'm so excited that I did because I love the community found within this program.
Good, thank you. Ricky, why don't you tell us, why did you apply to Women in Leadership?
Because I am a fangirl of Shayla Ford, first and foremost.
I did not pay her to say that. We've worked together before in some different capacities. Thank you, Ricky.
Sorry, she did pay me, but no, I would absolutely agree with what Elizabeth said in finding community. Not being a native St. Louisan and being somewhat of an introvert, it was not been easy for me to seek out and network with other women. And so this provided the prime opportunity to be in a safe space with women that were on a similar journey. And I'm so very grateful that, like Elizabeth, I have a brand new community.
Thank you, Ricky. Maheen, why did you seek out this opportunity with Women in Leadership?
So, hi everyone. Um, I have to sort of mimic what Elizabeth and Ricky just mentioned here. I came into Women in Leadership thinking that this was going to be essentially the next step in some professional development. I had taken on other development opportunities in the area. I am with an organization that thankfully is very supportive of me continuously growing myself in order to hopefully grow with them. And so they've had been very encouraging for, any opportunities that I found. And, I really looked at this like, it is the next step. I'm going to continue building my skill set, my soft skills, my networking skills, et cetera, et cetera. But then when I actually sat down and talked to some alum, they said, you're going to walk away with this amazing village. And I couldn't completely appreciate that until now. And beyond having this really well-structured program, but structured to the point where I kind of understood it to be something that would be structured around what our needs were as well. I was just really excited and really eager to get involved with a program like this.
Thank you. Chrissy, hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am well. Why don't you tell them tell our audience why you decided to apply to Will?
Yeah, so I had admired Focus St. Louis for years. I was introduced to Focus St. Louis when I was working at the Girl Scouts. Admired it for a really long time. Never really felt like I was ready or in a space where maybe if I applied, I would be accepted yet. So I kept pushing it off until I felt like I had climbed the ladder enough or I was enough to be in the room. again, looking back at the Rolodex, if you look in Focus St. Louis and you look at the people that are involved, the alumni are impressive, and the Rolodex they're pretty cool people. I want to be a part of that circle of people, but I never felt like I was in that group yet. So I pushed it off for a really long time. And quite frankly, I watched a lot of my friends graduate from Will and graduate from Leadership St. Louis. And finally, in my last position, a very good friend that I worked closely with was in Will, and she was accepted. And I was with her through the program and asked her how it went every meeting we had every month. And she graduated and she said, "It's your turn. And I'll write you a letter."
Good.
And I said, "Okay." And it was the right time. And I'm glad I did. And it was that encouragement that I needed to finally feel like I belonged in that room. I don't think I would have gotten there on my own.
Thank you for sharing that. Each of you, like, because I know you a little more, right? I know that each of you, there was that other piece behind it, right? But what I'm hearing is that just being in a place with other women who could be supportive, who could accept you for who you are, to have that brave space, which we talk about often, right? Where you can just be yourselves. Is so important. And I'm glad that each of you have had an opportunity to experience. And now what I want you to share is what surprised you most about the program, right? Like, you hear from friends, you read on the, you read on the website, or you also were on this other side of the seat where you were in the info session. But what surprised you most about the program and or your experience? I'll start with Maheen.
So I think what surprised me was that in my professional setting right now, and a couple of my personal settings as well, I walk into any room and I do get the feeling of like, I am the only blank. Like, I'm the only person of color. I might be the only woman. I might be the youngest person in this room and no one's going to take me seriously. I'm going to be the oldest person in this room and no one's going to take me seriously. Actually, that is a fact. I do walk into a room with my nieces and nephews frequently and they do not take me seriously, but that is beside the point. But I kind of anticipated feeling that way in some way, shape, or form, even amongst the Will women. And it wasn't because I was trying to separate myself from anyone. It was just, that's what I was used to, and that's what I thought I was going to find. And I realized every situation that I had built in my head of being the only something, um, I kind of squashed that. Like, it didn't actually exist, or it does exist, but I was in a room full of people who also felt that way and who reminded me it's okay to feel like the only blank. It's actually really cool to be the only blank, because you end up being this very unique voice and perspective that I never really looked at myself as. So I realized I had so much more in common with these women than I was walking in anticipating at all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Ricky, why don't you tell us what surprised you most about your Will experience?
I can say definitively, it was quite surprising to me that I belonged in the room. I had no idea that I was worthy of being a part of this group. I thought that the field I worked in, that I didn't fit with the C-suite type of professional women, and that my everyday duties weren't a true leadership role. And if I learned nothing else, yeah, I belonged. And leadership is not the traditional way that we imagine it to be. And it was quite surprising to know that regardless of your title, if you need to develop and grow, it is so much better to do it with other people who, like Maheen said, have those same thoughts of being unworthy. And being able to grow in a garden versus growing as a single flower. It's an amazing thing, and it surprised me that I belonged in that room.
Thank you for sharing that. Elizabeth, what surprised you most?
I was surprised by the range of topics that we were able to cover in our time. I will always wish that we had more of it. But what I loved being able to hear from other women who know how to negotiate well, because as women, we often don't advocate for ourselves enough when it comes to a negotiation. So, or when we do, it's usually a man telling us what we should do, right? And so hearing it from other women is really was really helpful for me, because I've been in situations where I didn't advocate enough for myself. So having that, and having the community behind you, not even just the women in the room, but the women that Shayla and Kate bring into the room. That because I wrote down notes when Shayla sent us the questions to consider, and what I verbatim was the powerful badass women in the room with you.
I love that, right? Because I don't know, it's always the right group of women with the cohort. Like, I try my best, but there is like something that happens. There's magic that happens in the room, and you're right. Like, all of them are badass. And then you're like, ooh, I'm part of this tribe. I'm part of this group. Thank you, Elizabeth. Chrissy, what surprised you most about your will experience? What was that unanticipated thing that you're like, oh, huh, I didn't anticipate that, but this is what happened.
Yeah. I mean, day one, you walk into what I consider to be professional growth or professional development with my notepad and my pen, ready to take my notes like I do any other professional development day. And I leave with at least 12 new best friends, all of which have cried, grown together, and laughed together, and we're all new best friends. It is a completely different kind of professional development. It is not just professional, but it is personal, it is real, it is raw, and it is powerful. And it's broad. So it's not only you won't only learn this group of people, but you're going to be stretched, and you're going to learn about so many different topics across so many different spectrums, all of which you get to grab nuggets from to make yourself better. And so the sheer amount of people that we got to know, who we got to hear from, who we got to learn from, and who we got to personally connect with, and then continue to learn from as life goes on after graduation, it's inspiring, and it's powerful, and it's been awesome, but unexpected.
Yeah, I would say that I love that you mentioned like the friendships, because sometimes people say that they're like, oh, we want to be friends, and I'm like, okay, but there was a couple of cohort members that I noticed hanging around with Chrissy, and I'm like, did y'all know each other before you got here? I mean, like that quickly. And not that that's surprising, because I try to create that atmosphere, but that quickly they're like, no, we just met each other here. But there was a bond that you could see and hear, and then it trickled over, into our group me chat, right, where you could see it and witness it blossom, and then how it kind of spread to the other women in the group was pretty amazing. So sometimes I'm apprehensive to be in a group of professional women. One, yeah, there's that self-confidence, am I enough? But there's also, like, let's be real, and that's where it gets real and raw, is like, we've all been hurt by other women who were supposed to be our friends, or who were our leaders, who we felt disappointed in or betrayed by, or whatever, like our trust was broken. And then you come into this room with these magnificent women, and you're like, are they going to be like that person to me? And we're not. We are not. And I
Right.
try really hard to guard that space for each and every person, because I'm so mindful that we can bring our past baggage with us, and that can hinder the opportunity for growth. So thank you.
And then it ripples on beyond that. So
Yes.
because now I've reestablished that safety net, I can then go on and pass it on beyond Will.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. All right. Here's another question. I got two more. One is about just what's the highlight or the takeaway? Like, what is, if you could say there's one or two things that if you don't get anything else from Will, like I got these one or two things, what would you share that maybe you haven't already shared with the group? Let's go back to you, Chrissy. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been said before, but it's worth repeating because it was probably one of the largest lessons learned in my experience, that I'm the owner of my future. I've earned the right to be in the room. I can release what no longer serves me. It's my weirdness, my uniqueness that makes me special, and that is my superhero. And that is what will propel me into greatness moving forward. That's what I'm going to help use me and actively build my future.
Thank you. Thank you. Maheen, what would you share is like, if you distill it down, what are the one or two things that you're like, this is what was so important for me to gain from this program?
So I think the biggest thing for me was that this is a continuous journey.
Mhm.
Your book will not end at the end of this 3 or 4 month stretch.
Mhm.
And this is part of the journey too. This isn't just like a cliff note. This isn't, just a little short note. This is part of the journey. And I think as far as like the takeaway itself, is that I'm not done. Like I'm not done growing. I'm not done learning about myself. This program forced me to trust myself in a way that I was previously not comfortable with. And I'm still partially getting used to that level of trust in myself and my thoughts and my decisions. But it's a journey. And, I'm grateful that I have all of my Will sisters who are on this journey with me, and I can bounce ideas, bounce thoughts off of them and just say, I don't know, this doesn't feel right. And they'll be the ones who have lifted me up and who have encouraged me to keep moving forward. It's not just my loved ones at home. It's not just, the best friends I grew up with. It's this village that I have now. And Shayla, you said something at the very top of this call where you said lead from within. It starts with you. And it struck me because it is really, it wasn't something that was easy for me. It continues to be something that I'm working on, but I am so excited that this is part of my journey. So
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Ricky, what would you distill it down to? What one or two things are you like, this is what this program has meant for me?
My biggest takeaway is that every bit of imperfection that I have is of value.
Mhm.
And this journey helped me to understand and learn to appreciate everything about myself. All the things that I was telling myself were not good, not great, and not good enough. When I saw them in other women in Will 78, it made me appreciate them. And then I had to recognize that it was time for me to then begin to appreciate myself. And it was an amazing breakthrough for me to recognize that whatever the concept of success is, as it's traditionally been told to us, success is truly about what we say about investing in yourself and appreciating yourself, all the things about you, the good, bad, and the ugly. And again, Shayla creates a brave and safe space that allows you to explore those things about yourself and recognize them in other women. And biggest takeaway is it's okay to be who you are, and be grateful for what you are and who you are, no matter what.
Thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth, what about you? What would you distill it down to?
For me, it was a lot of learning how to give myself grace.
Mm.
Um, it's a constant challenge for me, and that's kind of what I alluded to. The first question is, I was just nodding my head vigorously just a second ago when Shayla was talking about how other women can hurt you. And I came from a situation where a female leader really hurt me. And so it really tore at my confidence. It really tore at my ability to trust myself. And what this program really helped me come into is recognizing that I'm always, and I think women are really do this a lot, is you're willing to afford grace to everyone else before you afford that grace to yourself. And so this gives you that time to invest in you, and as Ricky's mentioned, find those imperfections, but that the gifts that they are, the things that make you different. And so that's because I think women can also build community like no one else can. And so, yeah, building community and affording yourself grace.
Thank you. Here's what I'm going to do. Before I ask you to give like a final push, I think it's time to go into some Q&A. I've seen a couple of things in the chat box, so I want to open it up to the audience. Some folks have had to leave, and that's fine. We're like, hey, we know schedules are what they are. Thank you for those who have come and been able to stay. But what are your questions? What are your questions for us? I saw one, Kate, you're going to have to help field these for me. I saw one about cohort size. So the cohort size will be about 30, and that is kind of what each of these cohorts had experienced in size. And to be quite honest, like if the cohort could be larger, I would do it because I think all women should have this experience. But I think we're going to keep it at about 30 because that allows for that personal interaction, that allows for the personal touch from me as your guide through this program and process. But it also just allows for the community to kind of root itself together. And if you get too larger, I think it can take away from what the experience can and should be for the women. So that was one. Kate, what else are you seeing? Can you help me out with the chat? I'm going to kind of look, but I know you've
Yeah,
seen.
I've been recording. So
Okay.
in conjunction with that, how many are accepted? And that goes in conjunction with another question that was just asked by Aaron. Every cohort looks different. Who's in the cohort, who's been nominated, who's accepted, how many people have applied, and that's how we take it as each individual cohort. So if you apply for fall, but then something happens in your life or something gets added to your calendar, you transition into a new role and it's no longer going to work, we would recommend that you wait and apply for the spring. Also, the spring schedule that I sent through is a link. It's actually hasn't been changed on our website. It's for this past spring 2024. So you can email me, and I've added my email address a couple of times. I've got the document, and I can send you the spring 2025 calendar as well. But we do address each semester, each class separately. So if you're applying for one versus the other, be mindful about being present. Another question, and Shayla, you can add to this if you like, locations and if there's virtual options, to really make those personal connections, showing up for one another and getting the most out of the program. Being in person's where it's at. It just takes that experience to a whole another level. We did virtual, and we did even a combination, even when I was onboarded coming out of the pandemic. It's just so much more meaningful. We learn about the community in the community. So Shayla's really thoughtful about what partnerships, what content, what speakers fit well in the community. So you're at different locations, you get those logistics from me a week out. If you do one thing in preparation, it's to just read my emails so that you know where you're going. And then always feel comfortable asking Shayla and I any questions. If there's anything that you're concerned about, or you have an inquiry about space, fear of elevators, it could be anything. So Another thing, spring versus fall, again, email me, we take them separately. Shayla will address the logistics as well, but 1 application and 2 recommendations. But if you have questions about that process, email me separately. So those are the questions we have so far. Something I wanted to share. Will is great about using the word sister, and I'm an only child, so I don't get that. I'm a crier, me and Chrissy. I knew this call was coming up. I should have had Kleenexes right next to me because I also just had a baby, so my hormones are all over the place. So supportive, most positive family. I meet up with a lot of the Will ladies and have just a great time. And my husband thinks it's so weird because I don't make friends through professional components and burned way too many times. So Will is a beautiful community. Our last cohort that graduated is the most diverse we've ever had. And that honestly comes from all of our wonderful Focus alums passing the microphone. Who is next? Who haven't we heard from? Who do you believe in? Who do you see potential in? That just needs to be recognized and realized. If you also have comparative questions about different focused programs, Leadership St. Louis, C-level executives, women and men, content created over a whole year. Women in leadership's a lot more focused. It's just 3 months. It goes by so quickly. You see the women like every 2 weeks, but it can be kind of intense. That's another reason, wait until it's the right time. If you've got too much going on, wait until it's your time. Continuing connections, I also wanted to share, how are you guys continuing your connections, either through virtual platforms, personal experiences? Can you share a little about that? Ricky, do you want to start?
Sure. So personal connections, for example, Chrissy, I have to apologize. I owe your son a date. Um,
He's
I
been
agreed to
waiting.
take her, I agreed to take her son on a date to a movie before I was in a car accident. But that is probably the best cherry on top, is that you can literally call up anyone in your sisterhood group and say, hey, I'm having a rough day. Does somebody want to come have a drink with me, or can somebody pray with me, or whatever your need is? It can be met, and you feel absolutely comfortable seeking assistance and help from these women. So that's an amazing personal benefit.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add to that in terms of just the personal benefit, or like post graduation, how you've been able to kind of keep your community going and just be, be in community with women in the cohort?
Absolutely. I can speak to that a little bit. So we're all connected through a group chat where we're all in there and we can celebrate the ongoing wins. So if there is a job change or an interview coming up or a graduation, whatever that could be, we all celebrate each other. We are all connected on LinkedIn. We celebrate each other there. We share each other's big things going on there. So we are each other's biggest cheerleaders. But as Ricky said, we also share life outside of those things too. So my cousin had a winery that opened at the Lake of the Ozarks, and the girls wanted to check it out. So we all hopped in the car and spent the day at the lake. There was a day when we met for happy hour at Rosalita's, just as a check-in to see how we're all doing and where we're at and who needs what and how we can be there for each other. So it's a range of all kinds of things, whether it is I'm praying for you because you just got baptized this weekend, and good for you for going there and doing that and growing in that way, to let's go get a margarita because you've had a tough day. So or we have a gala coming up, so how can I help, decorate beforehand and support you during. So we're there for each other in a lot of different ways. Again, a true sisterhood in a lot of ways.
Thank you. Elizabeth or Maheen, either of you want to add anything to that that's not already been shared?
We had our younger members of our cohort explain that GroupMe also has a great calendar function, so that way we can invite uh, Is Maheen, what you were saying earlier is it's weird when you are no longer the youngest person in the room.
Right.
And the
Right.
young ones teach you things. So yeah, I'm actually, it's funny because I wore my butterfly pin because that was important to me today, but I'm also wearing a dress that I got at an event for one of my sisters hosted last week.
Oh, yeah,
So I
cool.
was like very dressing for the occasion.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're just always trying to support each other however we can. So
Awesome. Here's the last thing I'll ask for the cohort or the graduates. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm back in, right? What would be your word of wisdom or encouragement for those that are like, I'm still on the fence. I don't know, like this sounds good. And then, oh my God, but you guys cry or you call each other sisters. Like, I don't know, like there's something where someone's still like, I'm on the fence. In 30 seconds or less, give me your last like good word. And then I'll get to the, what are the last deadlines and due dates that folks need to know so that they can have that information. But Chrissy, I'll start with you. The person who's on the fence, she's out there right now going, this sounds good, but I don't know. What would you say to her?
I'd say just do it. But one lesson that I learned in Will is if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So if you don't have the clarity yet, you will get it or you won't. So if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, and it will come or it won't. And you do what's right for you.
I love that. You're right, because it's all about timing. All right, Maheen, what would you say? The woman is on the fence. There's someone out there who's like, I'm not sure. What do you say to her? What's your last word of encouragement?
Again, stealing some of your words. Really sorry, Shayla. Do it scared.
Yes.
It's do it scared.
Yes.
I am not, again, I told you all before, I have a lot of trouble trusting myself. And this was one of those moves where I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm ready. I'm not one of these like, there's no chief in front of my title. Like, I don't think this is for me yet. No, just jump in, do it scared. You're going to learn a lot about yourself.
Good. Elizabeth, what would be that word of encouragement?
I also wrote down do it scared in my notes before this. So
Okay.
but so same brain thinking, but I don't know. I've usually always felt pretty comfortable in a room full of women because mostly they have been supportive. I went to an all-girls high school, and I think when women can come together for women, it is just so meaningful. And I think we should all take over the world together, and you can do that through Will. So
I love it. I love it. Ricky, why don't you round us out with just what would you tell that woman who's on the fence?
I want to say absolutely nothing to somebody on the fence, because if you're still on the fence after this, what are you doing? Come on, are you kidding me? No, seriously, this is what I would tell someone considering this program. Be prepared to plan a funeral and be excited about that funeral. Because if you have a self-saboteur like I did, get ready to bury them. They will be murdered at the end of this, okay? And if you don't have a self-saboteur and you've been proactive in growing and developing who you are, be prepared to grow even more and be excited about growing with other women that are going to keep pouring into you, who are going to water you, who are going to shine on you so that you can come out of this even better. So yeah, just get off that fence and come on in.
I love it. Thank you each for being here. You don't have to go yet. I want you to stay for a few minutes. There might be things in the chat that you want to address. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen so that I can kind of round out and finish up. But thank you each for coming. It was so good to see you. And the energy that I'm just like from seeing you on the screen, I'm excited. I'm just excited. And I just appreciate you each. So Kate, if you can take them off the pin, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again. Though there goes my lovely ladies. There they go. We've done Q&A. You might be saying, okay, I'm in. I'm all in. When do I need to get my application to you? The application deadline is Saturday, July the 13th. At 11:59 specifically. So if you're that person that's like, I got a lot going on, okay, till 11:59, we'll accept your application. We do ask for 2 letters of recommendation. They're digital. And so the link is there, but we can send that back out to you. It's also on our website on the webpage for Women in Leadership. Selection. It is a virtual selection, but everyone who applies goes through the selection process, right? So if you apply the day you push send, you're automatically included in the selection process. And the selection includes an interview with 2 women who have graduated from Women in Leadership. Every now and then there's a woman from Leadership St. Louis, but it's focus trained women who are interviewing you about this experience, about your commitment and your ideas and growth for your goals for growth. There's just those kinds of questions. So it's like a 20-minute virtual interview on Saturday, August the 3rd. And finally, you might be saying, if I apply and I go through the selection, when will I be notified that I've been accepted? Notification will happen on August the 9th. Okay, so that's there. Lastly, you might be saying, well, how much does the program cost? It is a tuition-based program. The fee is $2,500. There are limited scholarships or financial aid for those that demonstrate the most needs. But what we also have an experience and a track record, folks in this community know us. Our partners in the various sectors know us. Our program has become one of the ones that they say, I will support my staff member, my team member, my colleague into going. So a lot of individuals are able to come through the program sponsored by their employer. And if you're like, hey, that sounds interesting, I don't know if my employer would sponsor me, email myself or Kate. We have talking points that can help you present this as an opportunity that is a win-win, not only for you, but for your company. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. And finally, before we do a final wrap for the day, if you have any additional questions, again, you can feel free to reach out to myself or Kate. We're happy to respond to you. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, yep, I'm saying it. I want to get all the folks connected to me. This QR code is to my LinkedIn. You can follow me or you can connect directly. But if you want to see the type of leader that I am and that is going to be guiding you through this program, follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll get a flavor for the types of things that I post or that I talk about. And if this wasn't enough, right? If you're like, oh, I still want to talk with someone, you can either be connected with one of our ambassadors that showed up today for us, or if there's someone else that you want us to connect you with, I'm happy to do so. I want you to make an informed choice about this program. I want you to know that you're ready to invest in you and you're ready to go through this growth opportunity with us. And if you're not, that's okay. If it's not your time, wait. But if you need someone else to talk to help like encourage you or take away all of the question marks that maybe are still in your head, reach out, let us know. We're happy to have a conversation. So thank you so much for coming this afternoon. Thank you for being here. Kate, are there any final things that you want to say as we round out and say goodbye to everyone who's joined us today? Any last thoughts?
Yes, one question, and if you want to expand upon this, there was a question outside work in the sessions, if PTO is limited. All the sessions happen Thursday or Saturday, but it does feel like a lot of time if it's concentrated. So again, talk to your employer, make sure that you have the support, we have talking points so that we can, help them understand the benefit of the program. Like any experience, what you put into it is what you get out of it. So the extra connections, the extra coffees, the homework, it's nothing that Shayla looks over. It's nothing that you have to turn into anybody. It's nothing that you even have to do ahead of time. It just gets you mentally prepared and focusing on where the conversation will go, who the speakers are, so that you have a little background and questions prepared before walking into those field days as well. We've also had people that might have been overwhelmed outside of work and outside of the sessions, and they go back and they do the work, they do the handouts. So that's getting the most out of the opportunity and kind of growing over the year and over the expanse. So there's a lot of benefits. It doesn't have to all be done at one time. It is not homework. It is a journey. Anybody want to add anything else? Final words? Those were all of the questions. But again, you have Shayla and I's emails if you want to connect outside of this.
All right, I'm looking around. I'm doing both screens to see if I've missed anyone or maybe if there's a hand raised. I don't see any, so here's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm
sorry, Shayla, real quick. Thursdays and Saturdays, the times are 9 to 4.
Yes, thank you. So seeing no other questions or hands raised, I just want to again say thank you for spending a little time with us to get to know who we are, get to hear from our graduates. Hopefully you've made a clear decision that this is something that you want to do for you. And all I will say is I will end with how we started. I won't go through the whole "it's my time," but I just want you to know it is your time. If you've been waiting for an answer or a sign or whatever it is you've been putting out in the universe, it is your time. Don't delay, do it afraid. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been great to see all of your lovely shining faces, and we will be in touch real soon. So thank you. Have a good rest of the week. Bye, Faith. Bye, Christina. Bye, Tanya. Bye, Ann. Bye, Tori. Bye, Yolanda. Bye, Kelly. Bye, Chelsea.